In the fiery inferno of the Sierra Nevada, black smoke devoured the sky. A magnificent male lion was trapped in a deadly embrace, his helpless roars echoing through the blaze. Scorching heat, escape routes blocked. Amidst the devastation, could a miracle save the king of Red Rock Canyon? In the majestic peaks of the Sierra Nevada, where towering ponderosa pines reached proudly towards the vast azure sky, a silent tragedy was unfolding, sowing seeds of terror. A parched summer wind, carrying the searing breath of the desert, had ignited a ferocious wildfire from an errant lightning strike on the mountainside. The flames licked at the dry grasslands, spread swiftly through the chaparral, and then devoured ancient pine forests. Black smoke billowed like colossal monsters, engulfing the space, painting a once peaceful corner of the heavens blood red. The acrid smell of burning wood and pine resin permeated the air, heralding inevitable destruction. Amidst the inferno and ash, a noble creature fought for survival. A powerful male lion with a resplendent golden mane, a symbol of strength and authority, now merely a panicked figure, alone within the deadly embrace. The fire had blocked all escape routes, the heat scorched his flesh, and toxic smoke stung his once proud amber eyes. His helpless growls echoed through the roaring flames, a desperate plea amidst the apocalyptic scene. Other creatures of the forest had fled in disarray, but the lion, perhaps injured or caught off guard, was trapped in a merciless encirclement, facing a painful and solitary death. The land he reigned over, Red Rock Canyon, had become a colossal furnace, and its king stood on the precipice of oblivion. Not far away, in a small wooden cabin nestled peacefully on the mountainside, amidst rows of red-leaved maple trees and vibrant wildflowers, Jake Hawkeye Johnson, a retired Army paratrooper with piercing gray-blue eyes and a compassionate heart hidden beneath a weathered exterior, watched the raging columns of smoke billowing across the sky. In his 60s, the marks of a hard-fought military life were etched onto his sun-tanned face and the lines around his eyes. But beneath that resolute and quiet demeanor lay a deep and abiding love for the wilderness, a world in which he had found peace and healing after years of brutal and haunting conflict. As the roar of the firefighting helicopters tore through the tranquil air, Jake knew that time was running out. The flames were spreading with terrifying speed, isolating helpless creatures in their merciless grip. In his mind, images of orphaned bear cubs crying piteously, panicked herds of deer fleeing in vain, flashed vividly, tormenting his sensitive heart. But one spirit called to him more strongly than the rest: the awe-inspiring tales of a solitary male lion, with extraordinary strength and magnificent beauty, affectionately known by the locals as the King of Red Rock Canyon. Desperately trapped in the most dangerous zone of the fire, a place inaccessible to any ground rescue vehicles. Without a moment's hesitation, the instinct of a soldier trained to act in the most perilous situations and the heart of a profound nature lover compelled Jake to swift and decisive action. He retrieved his old but reliable paraglider, a companion on peaceful twilight evenings when he soared through the air, admiring the majestic beauty of the mountains and feeling the incredible freedom. For a paratrooper accustomed to leaping from the sky, facing danger, and making split-second, daring decisions, the idea of using a paraglider to reach the fire zone wasn't a reckless act, but a bold solution, perhaps the only chance to save the precious life in mortal danger. With the urgent and worried help of kind volunteer friends from the small town, people who also harbored a deep love and concern for the wilderness, Jake quickly prepared his old but still sturdy paraglider. The wind still howled on the mountaintop, carrying searing heat and the pungent, acrid smell of burning wood, creating treacherous air currents. They carefully chose a high peak near the fire zone as their launch point, a place where Jake could utilize the wind direction to reach his target most swiftly. Jake's gaze was fixed on the raging inferno that devoured everything in its path. He knew the risks and dangers that lay ahead, but the image of the solitary lion desperately awaiting help overshadowed all fear and hesitation in his heart. As the paraglider was carefully inflated by his friends like the vast wings of a giant bird, ready for the perilous flight, Jake tightened his calloused hands on the controls, feeling the vibration of the wind and the tension in every line. A loud, determined shout echoed through the quiet air, and Jake plunged into the abyss. The feeling of freedom and exhilaration as he glided through the air, gazing at the majestic mountain scenery from an entirely new perspective, quickly gave way to intense tension and a heavy sense of responsibility as he drew closer to the raging fire zone. Thick black smoke, like an invisible curtain, drastically reduced visibility. The heat scorched his face as if in a furnace, and sudden gusts of wind constantly challenged his control and seasoned flying experience. Jake skillfully and expertly maneuvered the paraglider, weaving through the towering columns of black smoke and the glowing red embers that danced in the air like ghostly fireflies. His experience as a paratrooper, trained to remain calm in the most dangerous situations, helped him maintain intense focus and make precise judgments in this life-threatening predicament. He intently searched, listening for any sound emanating from the inferno, trying to pinpoint the exact location of the lion amidst the chaotic and deadly scene. Finally, through the thick and hazy smoke, like a concealing veil, Jake heard a faint roar, filled with pain and despair, echoing from below. The roar no longer carried the regal and powerful authority of the king of Red Rock Canyon, but was a desperate plea for help, a groan from a creature nearing death. Jake swiftly adjusted the direction of the paraglider towards the sound, and then, in a small clearing surrounded by licking flames, he saw him. The male lion lay huddled beneath the shadow of a large, ash-gray rock, his once resplendent golden mane now stained with black smoke. Raw and swollen, burns visible on his powerful and muscular body. His usually proud and commanding amber eyes now reflected only profound fear, utter exhaustion, and an indescribable agony. The fire had almost completely encircled the area, turning it into a colossal crematorium, and the animal seemed utterly spent, with no strength left to escape the merciless enclosure. Jake skillfully landed in a relatively safe area nearby, far from the most intense flames. He quickly approached the motionless lion, his deep, compassionate voice cutting through the savage roar of the fire. "Don't be afraid, big fellow. I'm here to help you. Everything will be all right." Initially, the lion appeared terrified and defensive, letting out weak growls and attempting to retreat. But Jake's sincere gaze, gentle voice, and slow, reassuring movements seemed to soothe some of the physical pain and the suspicion in the animal's panicked mind. Jake removed his thick, fire-resistant jacket, carefully covering the lion's bleeding burns, trying to shield him from the terrible heat. He knew that time was running out, and moving such a large and severely injured lion in this critical condition was a near-impossible task without the animal's own cooperation. A daring yet hopeful idea flashed through Jake's mind. He had experienced training service dog for the military during his years of service, and he knew that animals, especially intelligent creatures like lions, could understand sincerity, kindness, and simple commands through gestures and tone. With slow, deliberate movements and a patient voice, Jake tried to signal to the lion that he wanted him to climb onto the paraglider. He gently patted the sturdy fabric of the glider, encouraging the animal to move. Incredibly and touchingly, as if sensing the genuine help and realizing there was no other way to escape the impending death, the lion obediently and weakly followed Jake's guidance. With Jake's careful and gentle assistance, the hundreds of pounds animal lay securely on the strong paragliding material. Jake quickly checked the safety straps, ensuring his special and precious passenger was fastened as securely and safely as possible for this perilous flight. This was the most dangerous and tense moment of the entire rescue operation. Taking off with such a large and unbalanced weight would be incredibly difficult, and even a small mistake in control could lead to a serious accident, threatening the lives of both man and beast. But Jake had no time for hesitation or fear. The fire was drawing closer, licking at the surrounding bushes, and the heat had become unbearable, threatening both their lives. With a decisive shout, Jake yanked the control lines, and the paraglider slowly lifted into the air, carrying both the courageous man and the severely injured lion. The arduous and dangerous flight against the wind began. Jake had to battle unexpected air currents and the unusual weight of the animal, trying his utmost to keep the paraglider stable in the smoke-filled and ash-laden sky. After heart-stopping and anxious moments, where each passing second felt like an eternity, Jake finally managed to steer the paraglider out of the danger zone engulfed by fire and smoke. They landed safely in a lush green meadow, stretching like a soft velvet carpet, far from the raging inferno still roaring behind them. Professional rescuers and veterinarians were already waiting there, their eyes unable to conceal their astonishment, admiration, and deep emotion at the extraordinary sight they had just witnessed. The injured lion was quickly taken to the makeshift medical care area established nearby. Veterinarians diligently and carefully treated his severe burns, administered fluids, and provided nourishing food and water for the exhausted and weakened animal. Jake stood watching from a distance, his heart overflowing with relief, joy, and a profound sense of accomplishment. He had risked his own life to save a noble creature, and now, the king of Red Rock Canyon, was safe and receiving the best possible care. The extraordinary story of the brave retired paratrooper who rescued the male lion from the raging wildfire quickly spread like wildfire itself, becoming a powerful symbol of extraordinary courage, boundless compassion, and the miraculous connection between humans and the wild natural world. Jake Hawkeye Johnson, from a reclusive retired soldier in the mountains, became a true hero in the eyes of nature and animal lovers worldwide. His noble act touched the hearts of millions, igniting faith in goodness and the power of empathy. This moving story is a powerful and compelling testament that compassion and love know no boundaries between species. It reminds us of our sacred responsibility to protect vulnerable creatures and preserve the delicate balance of the natural ecosystems we share. Jake Johnson's courageous and humane act ignited a brilliant flame of hope, showing that even in the most dire and dangerous situations, kindness, sacrifice, and profound determination can conquer darkness and bring forth life. Try to close your eyes and imagine the profound fear and utter despair the lion must have experienced while trapped in the raging inferno with no way out. How would you feel if you were the only one capable of helping him, standing between the realms of life and death? This story is not merely about rescuing an animal from danger, but a deep journey exploring the finest qualities hidden within the human spirit: extraordinary courage, supreme selflessness, and unconditional love for the wondrous natural world of which we are but a small part. What valuable lessons can we learn from this inspiring story to apply to our daily lives and how we interact with the animal kingdom and the natural environment around us? Can we become more sensitive, more compassionate, and act more decisively to protect vulnerable creatures in our shared home?